I saw wasn't human.
Oh my God!
It was very tall. What's more, it saw me. This thing.
Rawhead Rex.
This podcast is not safe for work and will feature movie spoilers. It will feature scenes described of a graphic nature. It will contain language which most listeners may find offensive. Welcome to the podcast Under the Stairs. And welcome back to another installment of Rawhead Rex in Pieces, a sub-series of the podcast Under the Stairs where we take the movie Rawhead Rex, beloved movie Rawhead Rex. We separate up into 5-minute reviewable chunks, bite-size if you will. I get podcasters from all over the world sit down and discuss those 5 minutes with me, going in depth, going in rawhead, if you will, and we give you our thoughts, our musings on said 5 minutes. The kicker, because it's the podcast Under the Stairs, is the release order of these episodes are random. So at this point here, the 75 minutes to 80 minutes, this might be the first episode you're hearing, maybe the last one, maybe somewhere in between, who knows? The internet knows, the computer knows, and wherever it's landed is where it was always meant to land. We are covering the minutes 75 through 80. This one starts with some police officers on fucking fire and will finish at the point where the Verger tells Rawhead Rex he's gotten to the altar, and that's where it finishes. Yes, bad Irish accents aplenty here for you from me, but joining me to discuss these 5 minutes, my good buddy Jeff Lown. How you doing, Jeff?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I mean, I'm not on fire, and I'm not burning my hands on an altar, so I guess I'm doing great compared to some people.
Compared to a lot of people in this 5 minutes here, you're breathing, so you're running. This one here, I kind of love these 5 minutes because this is when I think Rawhead Rex, I think batshit crazy and over the top, and this is the sort of stuff I'm thinking about where it's just so silly when you've got like grown adults in front of a rubber monster going, "It's all for you."
Yeah, we straight up get a Omen reference almost, but and then he does not slowly burn. He does slowly burn. It's not a quick scene. We get. I was like, wow, my 5 minutes is almost up, and this dude's still burning in front of Rawhead Rex. What's going on here?
Like, if you were worried that you might only be able to create one s'more from his alive burning body, I think you might be able to fill your face with s'mores before his final breath snuffs him out. This is like I say, it's primo Rawhead Rex here. So it opens with the way I've written this here. This scene opens with the 5-0 on fire. That's right, I know cop lingo. The fuzz is on fire. We don't need no water, let the motherfucker burn. Burn, motherfucker, burn. So anyway, Rawhead is walking around at like a king amongst minions. He's just like, he's fucking weird cock eyes and his guar outfit. Not giving a fuck. And our main detective, whose faux pas has set all this fire, well, we say faux pas. Well, I say faux pas. He deliberately meant to do it. Is in front of him, and it's clearly like a bodysuit that he's wearing. So much so that it reminds me of, see one of the three storms from Big Trouble in Little China, the guy that makes his face go fat and explodes?
Yeah.
From behind Rawhead Rex, this guy looks like that. His face is far too round. He's like Rick Mail in Drop Dead Fred when his head gets trapped in the fridge. He's like, the mega bitch squashed my head, the bitch, the evil one reigns supreme. It's kind of like that. He's got a round face from the back, and he's on fire, and he's kneeling, and he just keeps saying, for you. And Rawhead's response to this is, ah. Like,
I think he was just saying, "You're right. It is for me, and I feel loved. Thank you."
I just want to take a second out from my busy day of killing villagers and children to say thank you very much for your service. Thank you for your service. So this detective dies, presumably from like fire, cause of death, fire. Self-immolation, because he technically set the fire, so self-immolation. And then we switch, and David Duke is with his wife, and she's sitting there cradling their surviving child. They only have the daughter now, and she's fucking rocking this kid, which she does pretty much throughout this movie. I'm just gonna say that kid's gonna end up with brain damage, or whiplash, one of the two. And he says to his wife, he's like, I have to do something, and she's like, no, stay. And he's like, I have to go, and he goes out the door, and he goes up the street. And I love this. He finds the aftermath of this, which is just a giant smouldering mess, like bodies and smoke. That's literally it. Like, everyone's fucked.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. Except when he's down there, there's a guy who goes like, "Hand back!" And he looks over, and there's a cop. There's a cop sitting there with Reverend Coot, who is, I put it here, the Rev is in a bad shape, which is maybe an understatement. He's got seconds left to live. He's like really, he's ain't got time to bleed. He goes over the cop, basically says to him, get some help, he's bleeding to death. And Duke says, Jesus, dear God, in front of a priest as well, so we're just blaspheming openly now, which is like must be more painful for a priest to hear than all the wounds he's got. He's like, I know I'm dying, I know I'm bleeding out here, but do we have to blaspheme? Like, this is just is not great. And the Reverend here, who has been a great actor up until this point, I'm going to be honest, is a shite dying actor.
Yeah, not his best work.
He's like, the altar, afraid, something in the halter. And I like at this point I'm like, just die. Like, you like, this is so cringy to watch. The makeup isn't great. And
I mean, he is chewing it up here.
He's like, this is the only time I'm going to die on screen.
This is my last scene. All right, let me get my money's worth here.
How long is this going to be in the film? Well, we need to make it 1 hour and 30. So can I make this last like about a minute? Yeah, of course, man. You do you. Okay. The altar is fucking awful. So Coot dies. No one cries. And that rhymed unintentionally. And Duke tells to the cop, go back to the station. My wife and daughter are there. And I get credit to this cop. The cop's like, I'll look after them. Not like, I'll solve this crime. Like I'll kill this monster. He's like, I get to go back to the station and like guard duty. Hells yeah. Fucking fight. I saw this guy come out here and people were setting themselves on fire. I didn't want anything of that. You mean?
No, you don't want any. You don't want to be a second act to that. You don't even know what's going to happen.
No, ain't nobody got time for that, which is an old internet reference, and I feel like it was unwarranted and at the same time perfectly placed. So David Dick goes into the church. Where any scene with the Verger, I fucking love, because this guy is like pure theatre. You know what I mean? He's fucking amazing. Like, Duke goes in and he is inside throwing pages of a Bible about the place, just making moaning noises. The fuck, the fuck, this, and like, we know that he is converted to the dark side because in the space of about 5 seconds he says the word fuck 4 times. It's like a Limp Bizkit lyric. He's like that. He says, what the fuck do you want? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. And then he grabs David Duke, throws him across the room like he's the Hulk, then like jumps on him, starts strangling him, and basically says, get the fuck out of here. And he's like properly attacking him, and I like forgot for a second. I thought, like, does David Duke die in this scene? Even though I knew he didn't. But for a second, I was like, does he die here? Do we lose our hero here? How will he get out of this? Wait to hear this, Jeff. What David Duke does to save himself is he reaches across and grabs a no longer burning Bible, a Bible that was burning, and pushes it into the verger's face, and he screams so bad. Like,
yeah,
that,
he does.
like you would have thought, I don't know, like he'd been like bathed in napalm. Like, this is like, and he fucking flies back into a pew, and all he has is like 3 little circular marks, which doesn't even make sense from the page.
No, and he even acted surprised. He's like, "Huh, that's as bad as I got it. Huh? All right, I guess we're doing okay."
So he's lying on the ground, unable to move apparently from this horrible burning of his face. And David Dick goes up and runs across him. Then he tries to strangle him, and he's like that. It's afraid of something. What? What's it afraid of? Like. Who does number 2 work for? Who does number 2 work for? And the verger doesn't answer him, but is kind of looking over at the altar a little bit, and then we get all the animal noises, which is never explained in this movie. Why animal noises keep coming. It's like Mother Nature or something in the altar. You know what I mean?
I didn't understand that, actually, but
I've seen this movie
whatever.
loads, and I still don't understand it. They don't explain it. They're just like,
maybe
fuck
there's
it.
nothing to understand.
Maybe we're putting. Maybe that's all the sound effects guy had. He's like, all I have is this like cassette tape of like fucking Foley noises of like jungle animals. And they're like, good, just use it. So David Duke goes across, foolishly tries to lift not foolishly at first. He removes the cloth from the altar, and there's a big stone, like rad as fuck, pagan altar under there, and I'm like, that just like, why is there even a cloth on this? Put your cross on top of that. It looks fucking bitchin'. And he tries to lift it, instantly gets the red light burn thing where his face gets like stargated to half a place. It's like
Everybody's so over the top with their facial, like,
yes.
Anything happens with their faces in this, they're just like, all right, now just scream. Like, just a normal scream? No, like a maniac, please.
Yes, like I want you to pretend that you are, and I'm just using another Arnie reference because we used one in the other episode that's either already out or about to come out. It's like, you know when Arnie's in the costume and Total Recall, he's like, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
The jaws going everywhere and all the rest. Get ready for a surprise. That's this. Like everyone's just like, ah, or like Jim Carrey, like Ace Ventura doing like a shout scream thing where his jaw goes like 100 miles an hour and the rest of his face just sits stationary. It's so over the top, but he tries to lift this thing, gets the flashy thing, puts the lid back down, and he's like, I can't open this without this candlestick.
Yeah, all you got to do is just not use your hands, and your face doesn't burn in the red lights. So you're good. Just whatever you want to do.
He props this underneath, and he lifts it over, and the verger looks shocked as if this is the first time it's occurred to him that something else could be used to open the lid.
Yeah, that was that. He's like, this son of a bitch.
It's like, this guy's good. This guy's real good. These Americans, I tell you, they come over here with thoughts and ideas that are Irish people don't have. It's just so silly. So yeah, he puts his hands in and he removes a stone statue of a woman. I can't go into details about what's special about this woman because this doesn't happen in this segment. But he removes the stone statue. The verger looks a bit scared of this and he runs away. And then David Duke looks at the stone and then he follows. And you're like, if you're the audience, you're like, huh? Like, what we did here?
It could have been anything in there and they would have reacted the same way.
Yeah, I have a blueberry Pop-Tart. Oh, look at, is it just
I gotta get out of here.
Is it from the toaster? It's hot, which will explain all the burning.
Exactly.
So the verger runs outside. He runs up the graveyard where Rawhead's just apparently just standing there, just hanging out in the graveyard, like being all dark and shit. And he turns around slowly to greet the verger, who says, "He got into the altar." And that's literally, I know what you're thinking. Duncan should be a voice actor on a fucking Irish show. And I'm telling you right now, it's not as if I haven't been offered before, but the money isn't right. It's not right.
That's been my favorite part of coming on to record with you, is these voices. I mean, it paid for admission.
I love the fact you said voices and not just voice, because it's the same accent all the way through it. But God bless your cotton socks, Jeff. Yeah, that's the end of these 5 minutes here. Once again, you start off with bitch and fire and people being self-immolated, and then you end with like a kind of powwow between the verger and Rawhead. Do you have a favourite line in here? Is there something that stands out, favourite sequence where you're like, this is this 5 minute shit right here?
I mean, it's obviously got to be for you and everybody on fire. Like, that's got to be everybody's favorite.
I was going to agree with you, but then I remembered that I have Primo Verger in this one, where he's just like cackling and throwing pages from a Bible around. Which, let's be honest, we've all reached at least one point in our life where we're just like that. How do I see myself later on tonight? Tearing pages out of a Bible, like randomly thrown around while making moaning noises in a church which is half burned. That ain't fun. I don't know what is, and no one will tell me otherwise, Jeff. No one will tell me otherwise.
Yeah, so, I'll let it happen. I won't say a word.
Yeah, it's hashtag life goals. It's a weird, to be honest, it is a weird segment. Like, you landed 2 segments where there's a lot of exposition.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
There's a lot of exposition via Rawhead Rex, as opposed to where there are huge sections of this movie where there's exposition with no Rawhead Rex. So you get essentially 2 sequences which are post a death and just before the next death. So they're kind of weirdly bookmarked that way. And you also get escalation. So in your other segment, which once again, God knows when that'll land, Rawhead's 3 bodies deep at that point. At this point here, he is many more than that. Like, he's having a whale of a time.
Yeah, no, he's on his rampage phase.
Yeah, he is 100%, as the last podcast on the left would say, full berserker mode. He's like,
exactly, yeah.
He's living his bit. Hashtag like slay queen. I don't even know what that means, but my 9-year-old daughter will say it at everything, so I just copy it, and one day I'll get it right. But yeah, this is one of those ones where, like, we're so tantalizingly close to the end of this movie. All the parts are coming together. David Duke has the stone, which, I mean, spoiler alert, has a giant vagina on its belly, which Rawhead Rex is a movie, is based on a Clive Barker works, which means there's just a lot of sex imagery and all the rest in here. Yeah, I mean, I've not got a chance, because I didn't ask you this on the other one here. Like, the movies, like, it's classed as so bad it's good, right? And a lot of respects.
Yes.
Do you enjoy Rawhead Rex, or is it a case of you enjoy it because the aforementioned, it ain't a great movie, but it's kind of entertaining?
I'm sort of in the middle. I guess
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn on that. Like, I mean, it's obviously one you could watch, and it's so bad that you could like laugh and have a good time. You could put it on with people and enjoy it. But I mean, it has the structure of, I was gonna say a movie, but obviously it's a movie, dumbass. It's got like the structure of what could be good. You know, it's got lore behind it, sort of, and then it's got tons of action and death. It's just put together kind of weird, and they don't execute a lot of stuff that you need to execute well in a film to make it like a good quote unquote movie.
I would agree. I think the like on one part, the acting lets it down big time. Like no one genuinely looks scared in this movie at any point, or like horrified or anything. And then on the flip side of that, Rawhead Rex, as much as I love the character, the creature design's a bit goofy.
Yeah,
like, I was trying to think of it. Even in '86, this is kind of goofy. It's 2 steps away from being like. Killer Clowns from Outer Space in terms of the design, where like it's designed in a horror way where it's supposed to be like horrific, but at the same time there's no way you could possibly ever be scared of this.
Yeah, I mean the eye design thing is like the cross-eyed eyes. Like what? How did they fumble the ball? Like
I don't think they knew how to
fumble the
move
ball
them.
there?
I think they just got stuck at one. But I think this is like Bruce the Shark from Jaws.
I was gonna say it's like Jaws.
Yeah, just got stuck in there like that. We kind of have to get our money's worth, but the eyes don't move. Well, I mean, how often are we going to be like close up on the eyes all the way through this movie?
I mean, we have the source material that obviously we have a good writer putting it out. So like, how did?
Well, the problem,
how did it translate? I guess.
I suppose the big problem is if you've read the source material, the monster in the source material is a giant penis with teeth in the urethra.
I used to work for a guy like that. Glad I don't anymore.
The closest they get to it is the kind of phallic stone they pull from the ground, but it is a giant dick. Like basically just walking around eating people from the top of its like slit, essentially the top of its head, and like they change it for obvious reasons because the other movie ain't getting fucking made in 1986. But I think when they change it, I also think the fact that they legitimately set it in Ireland, which they didn't have to do, and they brought in a ton of Irish actors. Which, like, love or loathe Game of Thrones, the acting quality because of that TV show went up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like, they landed some great actors in that went on to do, like, tons of kind of background stuff in other movies. But, like, the acting here is not great. And the dialogue, whilst there's a lot of dialogue I love in this because it's right from the kind of short novel, but it's in the hands of people that can't execute it with a creature that looks like this. You could do, I mean, he could eat a baby in this and it still wouldn't have impact because of all the things that work against it. Like though, I find it infinitely entertaining because it is a well put together movie. It's just the elements they've used to put it together are kind of shaky. Like if this was a house, a strong breeze would blow over. It looked great, like when everything's still, but like at any pressure point at all, if you lean on a wall, it's tipping. And that's the problem with it. I think it's not a sturdy movie. It needs to be a bit sturdier than it actually is, and as a result of that, the longer it goes on, the more you can kind of see that the Emperor doesn't have any clothes on. It really is. It's a one-trick pony of a movie that plays that one trick over and over and over and over again until I get to the end. And even by the time you get to the end, you're kind of like, oh, of course it's a vagina stone that beats a dick monster. I mean, why not? Thanks, Clive Barker.
It always is.
But like I said in our other recording, in a world where this movie doesn't get made, Clive Barker doesn't make Hellraiser. He gives the Hellbound Heart script to someone else to make. And you don't have that for better or worse. So it's weird. It kind of has to happen for him to be like, no, like people obviously can't do my stuff on the screen, which would change. He obviously opted after he fell out big time in Hollywood that anyone could do a Clive Barker movie. And since then he's quite happily let anyone have the rights to anything. But it is weird. It is like it's not. This ain't a great movie. It's an entertaining movie though. It's a couple of beers with some friends, laugh at the nonsense, and every time Rawhead appears, you're just like, this is fucking amazing. Like someone thought this was great, and that in itself is great. So
if anything, it could be used, something in film school to show people like, don't do this.
Yeah, is that
if you're trying to make a good film, don't do these things.
Yeah, this is literally my pitch for PCs. Is I love PCs, but PCs should be shown to film students as like the premier example of this is not how you make a movie. So please, like look at this, see the faults. There are many. And you don't do that in your movie, and you're at least guaranteed something that's a bit more coherent. Jeff, you're a busy guy. You've got a podcast out there. People should be checking it out. If they're listening to this, I don't know why they're not checking it out, and for shame on them. In fact, I'm going to call them out. Bitches, listen to Jeff's podcast. Jeff, I can do this because it's my podcast. Had you done it, I would be like, what are you doing to my listeners right now? How dare you? But I can mistreat and abuse them. However, that being said, where can people check out your stuff, buddy?
Yeah, they could check us out. Me and my buddy Richard do a podcast called Night of the Nerdy Laser Podcast. We're on every week, and we cover pretty much just any horror that pops into our head and try to have a good time with it. And yeah, we're on all the podcatchers and pretty much all the social medias. So Go ahead and check us out. Give us a like and give us a listen.
Definitely do that. Now, all these episodes are dropping in October. In fact, we are doing basically a release every single day in October, because why not? I went this whole year barely releasing anything, and then I've just decided to fill this whole month with content. However, the way the episodes are dropping, there might not be another one of these after. There may be something else, but then the series will return. This could be the first one, this could be the end. Who the fuck knows? Planning is not my forte, recording is. So all I will say to you, dear listeners out there, is thank you very much for checking out this episode, and we will speak to you next time.